I know you guys see these beautiful tacos. Aren't they beautiful? Yes, let me tell you something. These tacos are everything. So who's ready to make some barbacoa tacos? Anyway, guys, let's get it. Welcome back to Cooking with Tammy Live. I'm Tammy and I'm back with another video, guys. Yes, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing absolutely great. Anyway, today, guys, we are going to be making a delicious taco recipe. Today, we're going to be making barbacoa beef, guys. Yes. This recipe is going to be packed with tons of flavor. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be smoky. It's going to have a nice rustic taste. Everything is going to be melt in your mouth. Absolutely perfect. Anyway, guys, without further ado, let's introduce these ingredients and get started. For this particular recipe, I'm going to be using chuck roast. Not only is it affordable, but it goes a far way when feeding a large family. As you can see, I already added some salt and ground black pepper to both sides. And I definitely added a generous amount. I didn't add too much. The reason why we're adding a generous amount of salt and black pepper is to season it from deep within. We want this chuck roast to have tons of flavor. Also, guys, it's a big piece of meat, so you got to make sure you put a good amount of salt and ground black pepper. Now, when it comes to our seasonings, we have dry cumin as well as minced garlic, some chicken bouillon, beef bouillon, because guess what? We're going to be making our own beef broth and chicken broth. And for some reason, when you use the powder, it comes out way better in flavor than using the box chicken or beef stock. We also have some chilies back here, should I say chipotle chilies. Of course, if you can't get your hands on chipotle chilies, you can always use ancho chili, or you can also use regular chili powder, but it's not going to have that smoky flavor like the chilies and adobo. We also have some dried oregano, as well as oil, apple cider vinegar, and some sliced onions, as well as lemon and some water. So moving right along, I'm going to add a little bit more salt, just so you can see on camera exactly what I did, just like that. And I'm going to go in there and add some ground black pepper, just like this. Go in there, give it a good rub. Repeat the same thing on both sides. Of course, it's both sides. You want flavor on every side of this meat, not just the top, not just the bottom. Because I'm going to make this recipe, guys, quick and easy, I'm not going to use a slow cooker. However, I'm going to use my Dutch oven. And once we're done, we are going to put it in the oven, guys. Yes. And we're going to literally speed up the cooking time. Now, usually in the slow cooker, on high, you're going to be cooking it for about 4 to 5 hours. Also, if you're cooking it on low, it's going to be between 6 and approximately 8 hours. But we don't have time for that today, guys. We're going to be cooking this meat really fast. Probably within 2 hours, it's going to be tender, juicy, and literally falling apart, melt in your mouth. Absolutely delicious. And I'm going to add my oil. Now, this Dutch oven is hot. That's why you might see like those little demarcations right here. It's not that it's dirty, but it's extremely hot. And what we're going to do is we are going to place our meat into this Dutch oven, just like that. And we are going to allow that meat to sear and brown before flipping it over and allowing the other side to brown as well. It should take about 5 minutes, I would say, between 3 and 5 minutes. And the reason why we're browning the meat first is because we want to lock in all of the wonderful flavors, guys, before adding the other ingredients. In the meanwhile, while the meat is searing, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the marinade. I'm going to start off by adding the chicken bouillon. And yes, we're making beef, but I'm adding chicken bouillon. Yes, the reason I'm adding the chicken bouillon is because it's going to give it even better flavor as well. We're going to add the beef bouillon, as well as the dried oregano. If you want to add only beef bouillon powder, it's totally up to you, but I advise you to add both because it's going to give it a nice rich flavor. We're also going to add that ground cumin. Give it a good mix, just like that. And we're going to add our minced garlic. Of course, if you don't have minced garlic, you can use whole garlic. Just chop it up really small, add it to the mix, as well as our chipotle chilies. I added, let's see here, I have 1 and I have 2 chipotle chilies. Now, of course, if you want more heat, you can always add more chilies. It's totally up to you. But I figured, you know what? Let me just add 2 because it's really spicy. All Alrighty, and last but not least, we're gonna add our apple cider vinegar. Give it a good mix. Sometimes what I do is, guys, I incorporate my onions in here as well, and I put it in the food processor, and I let everything literally just blend up and become perfectly minced. But today what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave it like this, and I'm gonna have my onions right here, and we are gonna check on our meat first and foremost. But before I forget, guys, I almost forgot my lemon, or should I say my lime juice. We're gonna add some lime juice to this mix as well. This lime is pretty small, so I'm gonna go in there and add the whole thing. Stir it up once again. Perfect. It's time to turn this bad boy over. Wow. Look at how perfect. Perfectly charred. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect, right? All right, so turn the stove top off. Of course, it's not finished cooking. I don't want you to take a big bite. It's not finished just yet. What we're gonna do is that marinade that we made, guys, we are gonna add it just like that. Perfect. And we're gonna go in there and we're gonna add our onions, of course, just like this. Make sure everything is nice and drenched in this beautiful sauce, or should I say marinade. What we're gonna do now is we are gonna place this Dutch oven into our 400-degree Fahrenheit oven, and we are gonna allow this beautiful piece of meat to cook for honestly about 2 hours, or should I say until the meat is nice and tender and absolutely succulent and juicy. Now here's the thing, as I mentioned earlier, most people, they decide to cook it in a slow cooker, so on and so forth, but that's too many hours. Sometimes we want to eat like now. We don't want to eat later, we want to eat now. So this goes into the oven. Once again, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We're gonna allow the meat to cook down, make sure everything is rendered perfectly. We want that meat to be literally falling apart by the time we're done. Now, the other thing that I notice is when you're using a Dutch oven, and because you're cooking at such a high intensity of 400 degrees Fahrenheit, I notice that the water usually dries out pretty quickly, like maybe within the first hour or so, sometimes an hour and a half. So it's always smart to go back and check to make sure, to see where you are, to see whether or not if you need to add more water, more liquid. Now, of course, when you add more water or more liquid, it's not going to take away the flavor that's already embedded within this pot. Trust me, because when I've made it before, I cooked it the same way, and I had to go back in there and add water maybe about once or twice. And the flavors, absolutely delicious. The sauce, rich and thick, beautiful in color, absolutely delicious. Anyway, guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head on over, put it into the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You notice I keep saying that, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna allow this meat to cook. I'm gonna check on it within the first 30 minutes. And I'm gonna keep checking on it periodically every 30 minutes for about 2 hours, and I'll show you exactly how everything comes out once we're done. Gonna add a little bit of oil to the pan, and I'm gonna take a napkin because I wanna spread it evenly in the pan. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna add our tortillas, just like that. I actually have space for 4, so this is perfect. Get the job done even quicker. And I'm gonna put that on medium heat. I'm gonna allow that to do its thing. And once I start to see like those little bubbles, then I'm gonna flip it over. In the meanwhile, what we're gonna do is we are gonna work on chopping some fresh cilantro. Just like that. And make sure before you use your cilantro, wash it really good, because every now and then, or should I say all the time, guys, cilantro has like little dirt particles in between the stems. So you want to make sure you wash everything perfectly well before serving your cilantro. All right, moving right along, gonna push that to the side. We are gonna dice up our onions. Just give it a rough chop, dice it up really small. Watch those fingers, be careful. Our tortillas are nice and brown, so I'm gonna take it out. This is perfect. Just like that. And yeah, perfectly toasted. Okay. So now that our tortillas are done, we have our diced onions. We also have some roughly chopped cilantro. I'm gonna go in and cut this lime in half and make some beautiful lime wedges. Just like that. Be careful not to cut your hands. And these are gonna go with our tacos. Trust me, everything is gonna be so complimentary. Time for the big reveal, the star of the show. Let me show you what the barbacoa looks like. Now tell me if this is not absolutely gorgeous. And check this out. Look at this. Tender, or should I say fork tender. Not too much oil. Everything is perfect. It smells absolutely beautiful. This is definitely it right here. It's like breaking with no problem. And this is a good thing, guys, about using the Dutch oven and cooking it in the oven. In my opinion, it comes out richer than using a slow cooker. Because when you use the slow cooker, one, you have to use, which I forgot to mention, you have to use less liquid, because you're going to end up, if you use like 3 cups of liquid, you're going to end up with a ton of liquid at the end, and the sauce is not going to be nice and thick and rich. So I prefer this method over the crock pot method. And besides, I don't know about you, but as I mentioned earlier, I like to eat sooner than later. Now, if you have that extra time on your hand where you want to use the crock pot, set it and forget it, so to speak, you can definitely do that with this recipe as well. It's universal. The only difference is you're going to add less liquid, and yeah, you're going to eat at a later time. But yes, this is it right here. Absolutely beautiful. Take a bite. Yes. All right, let's assemble these tacos. I think we've waited long enough. All right, first things first, we're gonna take the tortillas and we are gonna double it just like that. Oh, and before I forget to mention, look, not too much oil either. Not only did I cut off the fatty parts of the beef, but I only added about a tablespoon when I seared the beef. So you don't have that excess amount of oil. You have a lot of richness. You have the smoky flavor going on, as well as the spicy flavor. And of course, you can control the amount of spice. All right, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it right here on this tortilla, just like that. And I'm gonna overdo it, of course. I'm gonna add a ton of meat because I could do that. And we're gonna add some diced onions, as well as some cilantro. You don't need to add anything extra. Add a little fresh squeeze of lime juice, just like that. Set it up here so you guys can see it. Boom. Repeat the same process. Add as much beef as you want, because guess what? This is yours. But where you pay your money and they give you less to nothing. Add as much as you like and add what you like. If you want to add some tomatoes to this, of course you can add some tomatoes as well. Totally up to you what you want to add. Add some of the cilantro. Added a little bit too much, as well as some onion. A little bit of lime. Fresh squeeze of lime. And with all of that being said, guys, I will catch you guys in another video. Enjoy.